Hey nerds, what's up? I got my hair cut today. I'm liking it. Today's video is going to be my wrap up for the month of April and my TBR for May, which my TBR for May is going to be really short because I'm going on a vacation. Mama from the BookTube Girl is coming to my house tomorrow and she and I will be here until Wednesday. Tomorrow is Friday the 4th and then Wednesday the 9th, the two of us leave to go to Seattle and to visit Red from Little Red Reader, and then we'll be there for 8 days and then I come back. So the first half of May essentially is just like nix. I do have quite a few books to show you for the month of April, so let's get right on into this. First off, I had 11 books on my TBR. Really, I had 8. But then I had 3 extras that I really wanted to read if I could get to them. And of the original 8, I read 7, and then of those 3, I started 2 and didn't finish them in the month of April. I read 2 audiobooks this month, started a 3rd. I read 2 ebooks this month. I read 3 physical books this month. I read 3 adult books and 4 young adults. Out of those books that I did read, I gave 5 of them 4 stars, 2 of them 5 stars. So I had a really good reading month, which is probably why I read so many things. Starting off with my 4-star reads of the month, the first book that I read was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, which I don't have a physical copy, but I do have Crooked Kingdom, so I'm just gonna hold this book up while I talk about it. So Six of Crows takes place in the Grishaverse, but it follows different sets of characters, and in this book, in the first one, it follows a heist. This group of people that are kind of like a gang, they are low-level kind of criminal group, and they are hired to do this heist, to do this thing that I don't want to explain, but there's magic involved and all this fun stuff, and I listened to this on audiobook. The first part of the book was really slow. I would say the first 2/3, honestly. It was just okay in the first 2/3. I wasn't really it was not getting me all excited, and I was kind of disappointed by that because the hype on this book is like phenomenal. So I was like, it's okay. It did have some really good storytelling in those slow parts, like we get to know each of the characters' backgrounds throughout that, but there just wasn't a lot happening during those first 2/3 of the book. And then the last third of the book was like go, go, go. So much stuff happening. It was so good. And like the last third of the book is like a total 5-star read for me, but the first 2 were like, meh. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars because I did really enjoy it. I will definitely be picking up the sequel. I'm glad I read it, all of those good things. Next 4 out of 5 star book I was sent in exchange for a review, which should already be up, so it'll be linked down in the cards if you want a spoiler-free review on this book. But it was Order of Nature by Josh Scheinhardt, and I buddy read this with Murphy over at Murphy Napier. This follows a gay couple in the Gambia, 2 men. One is from Gambia and one is American, and he is living there to work in a school there. In Gambia, you can be arrested if they know that you're homosexual, and you can get up to 15 years in prison. Follows like past and present and all this stuff. I do have to say that I didn't love all of the writing styles, but I go more into detail on all of that stuff in my review, so you can check that out if you're interested. I do recommend this book. I think it's a really important read, even though I did have some issues with it, but overall 4 out of 5 stars. Next 4-star read that I read this month was Woman in the Window by AJ Finn. This is the Bibliobook Club for February through April. Our live show is on May 27th, and I believe it's at 3 or 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, but the correct time is right here in case I'm wrong. This book was a 4 out of 5 stars read for me. I read it on audiobook. It was good. This book is highly inspired by the story Rear Window, which is a 1958 or 1957 film by Alfred Hitchcock, and Alfred Hitchcock plays a huge role in this story. It's the main character's favorite film director, and I thought that tied in very well with this story. They did an amazing job making that part of it, because initially when I saw the plot synopsis for this, I was really nervous that I was gonna hate it because it seemed like a ripoff, but I think they did an amazing job doing an inspiration instead of doing a ripoff, and I thought it was really great. It's a thriller, adult thriller, about a woman who has agoraphobia because of something that we find out throughout the story more about. She likes to watch her neighbors to spend her time, and she witnesses a murder in her neighbor's house. and I thought that this was really good. Next 4-star read that I read was If You Don't Have Anything Nice to Say by Layla Sales. This comes out in May, I think. I got it on NetGalley in exchange for a review, which is on Goodreads. Everyone on the internet, everyone who uses the internet needs to read this one. It's about us. It is a story about how the internet culture, basically, like, one person does one thing that was wrong and then blows it up, and that person's world gets destroyed for this one mistake that they made. Like, basically how the internet is the wild, wild west, and we have no ability to control, like, crime equals punishment deserving. We just do, like, no matter the crime, it's this amount of punishment, even if it's, yeah. Follows a high school girl who makes a stupid comment on Twitter. Battery died. I'm back. I think it's a really important read for everyone. It was good. The next 4-star read that I read was Your Welcome Universe by Whitney Gardner. This is the Sassy Book Club book of the month for April, and our live show is May 7th at 3:30 p.m. PST. It'll be linked up there. This follows an Indian American deaf girl in high school who gets expelled at her deaf institute because she graffitied over a slur, and then she has to go to a hearing school, and she's the only deaf girl there, and she has an interpreter and all this stuff. And as somebody who knows a lot about deaf culture, I thought this story was pretty well done. I would love to hear more deaf people's discussion on this, because obviously I'm not deaf, but I do know a lot about the generalities of the culture. I thought it was really well done. I loved the pictures in here. It like shows you the signs sometimes, and then it also shows you some of her art. It like shows you some of the art that she's working on and things like that, and then it also shows you some of the graffiti too. And I thought that that was a really cool, like, visually pleasing part of this story. I just found some of the problems that the characters are going through to be like banging my head against a wall. That's just, they're not real problems. I mean, I know that they're real problems, and everything that happens in high school feels big. And it's not that I'm discounting that. I'm sure somebody out there would read this book and totally be on the same page. It's just that for me, at this point in my life, that's not it. And so it's like frustrating to read, but that doesn't make it a bad book. I highly recommend this. This was amazing. On to my 2 5-star books, and the first one was Citizen Sabotage by Cindy Anstey. I got on NetGalley in exchange for an honest review, which is up on Goodreads. It was so good. This is a historical fiction. It was, it's based in like the 1800s, like late 1800s, I want to say, and I thought it was really well done. It follows a girl who is not betrothed, but like is almost promised to this man within the same age range. When he comes to visit her family, like before they actually officially get engaged or anything, he brings his younger brother who's also slightly around her age. She ends up falling in love with the brother, and there's female friendship in this story, and there's also some like mystery thriller-y vibes. And the last and most recent finishing of a book that I read was also sent to me for a review, and it was The Forgotten Ones by Stina Holmes. I sent this in exchange for a review. A review will be coming soon, so I don't want to give too much away, but this is a thriller kind of. It's more like a mystery, I think. I don't know how exactly I would claim this, but this follows a girl named Elle who is an adult. She's a nurse, and her mom has always had issues, and she, I think, is bipolar, the mom, and she has always assumed or has always known that her grandparents died before she was ever born. But it turns out that her grandfather is still alive but dying of cancer, and when she finds this out, her mom gets freaked out and like gets really angry and never wants to speak to him or about him ever again. And so Elle decides to try to find out why. It is one of those books you can't put down. If you've read this book, I'd love to talk about it though, because I want to talk about spoilers, but I don't think anyone has read it, and everyone should, so get it. Those are all the books that I read in the month of April. Transfer us to my TBR, but I also picked up Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas, and I am currently about 80% done with it. I'm listening to this on audio, but I was about 60% done at at the end of April. It's now May 3rd. The other book that I've been reading and haven't quite finished before April ended was Obsidio by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. Oh my god, this is already so good. I'm currently here. The next book that I want to read this month is Summer of Broken Things by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I was sent this in exchange for an honest review, so you will be getting a review of this probably sometime in June. These two girls who were best friends a really long time ago, and then they've broken their ways. One of them got really popular, one of them is kind of made fun of a lot, and the popular girl's parents decide to force the other girl into their camping trip to try to like make them friends again, and no one's excited about this camping trip except for me because I think that it sounded really good. I didn't read my TBR jar pick from last month, so I want to read Elsewhere by Gabrielle Zevin. This is the book that I planned on picking up out of the 3 options that I picked from my TBR, so I need to read this. Okay, so let's pick this. If you don't know how I do this, I pick 3 of these out of here. They are places on my bookshelf on this side of me because those are all, most of them are unread books. Most of these are read books. And then I choose one of them to read throughout the month. So I have 1. Let's get deep in there. I'm afraid I'm gonna drop them. Okay. 2 and 3. Shelf 3, number 24. Shelf 2, number 17. And shelf 1, number 17. 3 books that I picked out was 117, which is my first shelf way up there, and the 17th book on it, which was Salt to the Sea by Rudish Sepetys. This is a historical fiction, I think based in World War II. The next one that I picked out was 217, so second shelf 17th book, and that was Schizo by Nick Sheff. This is about a boy named Miles who is schizophrenic. And then the last book that I picked was 324, Memoirs of a Geisha, Arthur Golden. These all sound good. I'd love to read them all. I mean, I don't have a lot of books on my TBR this month. Granted, I am going to not be reading a lot this first half of the month, but if I have time to read more than one, I will definitely be starting with these 3. I've never had that happen yet this year. For pulling out the 3 books on the TBR jar, and I've usually been like, none of them sound good to me right now, but all 3 of these sound really good, especially Schizo and Salt to the Sea. That's my TBR. That's my wrap up for April. Oh, I also got Reapers of the Gates preview from Sabata here. Thank you, Penguin. Random House, thank you. These are the books that I read in April or want to read in May. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. I'm gonna drop them. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. You can always hit that notification bell if you want to be notified every time I post a new video, which is usually on Mondays and Fridays. And comment down below which of my TBR books should I read first, as well as what was your favorite read of the month. I would love to hear it. And I'll see you guys very soon with a new video. Bye! I wish I